In the busy city of Onicha, people admired a wealthy woman named Madame Ifenanya. She owned lands, shops, and houses across the city. But behind her success was a quiet pain. She had been married for 20 years without a child. Each year, hope came and went like the dry season. Neighbors whispered. Some mocked her. But she remained kind and strong. Her husband loved her deeply and always encouraged her. Still, the silence in their home at night reminded her of what she lacked. Wealth filled her house, but her heart longed for a child to love and call her own. One evening, after many sleepless nights, Madame Ifenanya made a bold decision. She told her husband she wanted to adopt a child. At first, he hesitated. He feared society would not accept it. But seeing her pain, he agreed. They visited an orphanage on...
Thanks for watching Frankie's Stories. If you're enjoying this, help us reach more people by hitting subscribe and liking this video. Now, let's get back to the story.
City. There, among many children, one boy stood quietly in a corner. His eyes were calm but deep with sorrow. The moment Madame Ifenanya saw him, her heart settled. She reached out her hand, and the boy held it. That day, she chose him. She named him Onicha, meaning great deeds. Onicha came into their home like light entering a dark room. He was respectful, calm, and eager to learn. Madame Ifenanya treated him with love and care. She fed him well, clothed him, and sent him to the best schools. Slowly, laughter returned to the house. Her husband grew fond of the boy too. For the first time in years, their home felt complete. Onicha called her a mother, and each time he said it, her heart softened. The city began to forget her sorrow. People now saw her as a mother. But fate was quietly preparing another turn in her story. 2 years after adopting Onicha, something unexpected happened. Madame Ifenanya fell ill for a short time. When she visited the doctor, she received shocking news: she was pregnant. At first, she did not believe it. Tears filled her eyes as she held the report. Her husband was overjoyed. The house became filled with excitement once again. Onicha watched everything quietly. He did not fully understand, but he sensed change. Madame Ifenanya held him close and assured him nothing would change her love for him. But life has a way of testing even the strongest promises. Months passed, and Madame Ifenanya gave birth to a baby boy. They named him Chinedu, meaning God leads. The entire city celebrated with them. Visitors came with gifts and blessings. The house was filled with joy, music, and laughter. Onicha stood beside his mother, watching the newborn. He smiled, but deep inside, a small fear grew. Would things still be the same? Madame Ifenanya tried her best to show equal love to both boys. But as the baby demanded more attention, Onicha slowly felt the distance. Not from her heart, but from her time. Years passed, and both boys grew under the same roof. Onicha became calm, wise, and responsible. He helped manage small tasks in the house and showed respect to everyone. Chinedu, on the other hand, grew up knowing he was the biological son. He was bold, proud, and sometimes stubborn. Though Madame Ifenanya tried to treat them equally, people around them began to whisper. Some reminded Chinedu that he was the real son. These words slowly shaped his thinking. Onicha ignored the talk and focused on his life. But seeds of jealousy had already been planted. One day, Madame Ifenanya fell seriously ill. This time, it was not a small sickness. Doctors tried their best, but her condition worsened. She called both sons to her bedside. Holding their hands, she spoke softly. She told them to love each other and remain united. She reminded them that family is stronger than wealth. Both boys nodded, but only one truly understood. A few days later, she passed away. The house fell silent. The woman who held everything together was gone. What she left behind was not just wealth, but a test of character. After her burial, the mood in the house changed. Relatives began to visit more often. Conversations shifted from mourning to property. Documents were brought out. Lawyers were called. The question began, who would inherit her wealth? Onicha remained calm. He believed his mother's wishes would be fair. But Chinedu was restless. He believed everything should belong to him as the biological son. Friends and distant relatives encouraged him. They told him not to share what was rightfully his. Slowly, grief turned into tension. The love between brothers began to crack under the weight of greed. Arguments started small but grew quickly. Chinedu accused Onicha of trying to take what did not belong to him. Onicha tried to explain that their mother raised them both as sons. But Chinedu refused to listen. Voices became louder. Respect turned into insult. What was once a home became a place of conflict. Neighbors began to notice. The brothers no longer ate together or spoke kindly. Their father, already weak from grief, could not control the situation. The house that once held peace now echoed with anger. The matter was taken to court. Both brothers hired lawyers. Evidence was presented. Documents were examined. The court listened carefully. Onicha spoke calmly and respectfully. Chinedu spoke with anger and pride. The judge studied Madam Ifeanyi's will. In it, she clearly stated that her properties should be shared between both sons. The judge delivered his judgment. The wealth would be divided equally. Onicha accepted it with peace. But Chinedu was not satisfied. To him, it felt like a loss. After the judgment, the court became quiet. Onicha stood still and thanked the judge with respect. He believed peace had finally come. But Chinedu's face was hard and filled with anger. As they walked out, he refused to look at his brother. People tried to calm him, but he brushed them aside. In his mind, the judgment was unfair. He believed Onicha had taken what belonged to him alone. That day, something changed in Chinedu. His anger turned into something darker. Something dangerous. While Onicha hoped for peace, Chinedu began to plan something that would change everything. Days passed, but the tension did not fade. Onicha focused on managing his share of the business. He worked hard and treated workers kindly. People respected him. Chinedu, however, stayed away. He spent more time with friends who encouraged his anger. They filled his ears with lies and pride. "You are the real son," they said. "You should not share anything." These words grew inside him like fire. Instead of building his future, he focused on what he felt he lost. Slowly, his thoughts became dangerous. He stopped seeing Onicha as a brother. He began to see him as an enemy. One evening, Chinedu sat alone in a quiet bar. His friends had left, but their words remained in his head. He stared at his drink, lost in thought. Then an idea came to him, dark and wicked. If Onicha was gone, everything would return to him. The thought shocked him at first. But instead of rejecting it, he held on to it. He convinced himself it was the only way. His heart, once soft, had now become hard. That night, he made a decision that would change his life forever. A decision that no brother should ever make. The next day, Chinedu visited a man known for selling harmful substances. He hid his face and spoke in a low voice. He asked for something strong, something that could not be easily traced. The man looked at him carefully but agreed. Money was exchanged, and the substance was handed over. Chinedu held it tightly as he left. His hands shook, but his mind was set. He kept telling himself it was justified. But deep inside, a small voice warned him. He ignored it. Sometimes, the greatest danger is not outside, but the choices we make within. Chinedu invited Emeka to his house that evening. He acted calm and friendly, as if nothing had happened. Emeka was surprised but happy. He believed his brother wanted peace. They sat together and talked for a while. It felt like old times. Then Chinedu offered him a drink. Emeka accepted without suspicion. As he drank, Chinedu watched closely, hiding his fear behind a forced smile. Moments passed. Emeka began to feel weak. His vision blurred. He tried to speak but could not. He collapsed on the floor. Chinedu stood still, breathing heavily. It was done. Chinedu stared at his brother's body lying still on the floor. His heart raced. For a moment, fear gripped him. But then, he convinced himself that everything would be fine. He quickly arranged for the body to be taken away quietly. He told people Emeka had fallen sick suddenly. No one questioned him. After all, he was the son of a wealthy woman. That night, he did not sleep. The silence in his house felt heavy. But instead of guilt, he focused on what he believed he had gained. Wealth, control, and freedom. Days later, Chinedu began to live freely. He took full control of the properties. Money flowed into his hands without effort. He started visiting clubs, spending large amounts, and showing off his wealth. People gathered around him, praising him and enjoying his money. He laughed loudly, pretending everything was perfect. But inside, something was missing. Peace. The more he spent, the more empty he felt. Still, he continued. He believed money could cover everything. But truth has a way of returning, no matter how far it is buried. Unknown to Chinedu, Emeka was not dead. After collapsing, a passerby noticed something strange and rushed him to a small clinic outside the city. A kind doctor treated him quickly. The poison had not fully taken effect. It was strong, but not enough to kill him instantly. For days, Emeka lay unconscious. The doctor worked tirelessly to save him. Slowly, his body responded. His breathing became steady. Though weak, he was alive. Fate had given him another chance. But what awaited him when he woke up would shake him deeply. After several days, Emeka opened his eyes. The room was unfamiliar. He tried to move but felt weak. The doctor approached him gently and explained what had happened. At first, Emeka was confused. Then memories returned, the drink, the weakness, the fall. His heart sank as he realized the truth. His own brother had tried to kill him. Pain filled his chest, not just from his body, but from betrayal. He remained silent for a long time. The doctor advised him to rest. But Emeka knew his life had changed forever. As Emeka regained strength, he began to think carefully. He could not return home immediately. He needed time. He needed to understand why his brother had done such a thing. Instead of anger, he felt deep sadness. He remembered their mother's words about unity. Tears filled his eyes. But he also knew that justice must be faced. He decided to stay hidden for a while. The doctor agreed to keep his survival a secret. Outside, the world believed he was gone. But the truth was slowly preparing to reveal itself. Back in the city, Chinedu's lifestyle became worse. He no longer cared about responsibility. Businesses began to fail under his control. Workers were not paid on time. Trust was lost. Still, he ignored the signs. Every night, he returned to the club, surrounded by people who only wanted his money. He laughed loudly, but his eyes showed restlessness. At times, he thought of Emeka. The memory of that night returned like a shadow. He tried to push it away with more drinking and spending. But guilt does not disappear, it waits. One night, Chinedu had a terrible dream. He saw Emeka standing before him, silent and staring. He woke up in fear, sweating heavily. His heart beat fast. He looked around, but no one was there. From that night, sleep became difficult. Every sound made him uneasy. He began to feel washed. Even in crowded places, he felt alone. His mind was no longer at peace. The wealth he fought for now brought him no joy. Instead, it reminded him of what he had done to get it. Meanwhile, Emeka continued to recover. He grew stronger each day. But his heart carried pain. He decided it was time to return, not for revenge, but for truth. He contacted a trusted lawyer and explained everything. The lawyer was shocked but agreed to help. Plans were made carefully. Emeka would return at the right time. Not in anger, but with evidence and witnesses. Justice would not be rushed. It would be clear and undeniable. The stage was set for a moment that would change everything. Chinedu received news that shocked him. A message came that someone had seen Emeka alive. At first, he refused to believe it. But fear quickly took over. His hands trembled. If Emeka was alive, then the truth could come out. Everything he had done would be exposed. He tried to calm himself, but it was too late. His past actions were catching up with him. He realized that no matter how far he ran, he could not escape the truth. A meeting was arranged at the family house. Relatives, elders, and legal representatives gathered. The atmosphere was tense. Chinedu sat quietly, trying to appear calm. Then the door opened. Emeka walked in. Alive. Strong. Silent. The room froze. Some gasped. Others stood in shock. Chinedu's face turned pale. He could not speak. Emeka looked at him, not with anger, but with deep disappointment. That look was heavier than any punishment. The truth had returned. Emeka spoke calmly and explained everything. The drink, the collapse, the hospital, and the recovery. Witnesses confirmed his story. The doctor was present. Evidence was clear. Chinedu could no longer deny it. His silence spoke louder than words. Tears filled his eyes as the weight of his actions finally broke him. The room was filled with sadness. Not just for the crime, but for the broken bond between brothers. Chinedu fell to his knees. He cried deeply and begged for forgiveness. He admitted everything. His pride was gone. His anger had destroyed him. He looked at Emeka and called him brother again. But some actions cannot be undone. Emeka listened quietly. His heart was heavy. Forgiveness is powerful, but it does not remove consequences. Justice still had its place. The law took its course. Chinedu was arrested and taken away. The same wealth he fought for could not save him. The same pride that drove him now left him empty. As he was taken away, he looked back one last time. Not at the house. Not at the money. But at his brother. Regret filled his eyes. Emeka stood silently as everything ended. He had lost a brother, not by death, but by choices. He took responsibility for the family and restored the business. He treated workers fairly and helped the community. People respected him not just for his wealth, but for his character. He carried his mother's values in his heart. Though pain remained, he chose peace. In the end, the story of the two brothers became a lesson in the city of Onicha. People spoke of it for years. They remembered how greed destroyed one and how patience saved another. Wealth is not the greatest treasure. Character is. A good heart builds what money cannot. And a bad choice can destroy everything. The lesson was clear: never let jealousy lead your actions. Because what you gain through evil will never bring peace.